Another yield update, this one from southern Indiana. Good morning and welcome. This is the Hoosier Ag Today morning podcast on Tuesday, November 9th, USDA Supply and Demand Update Day. This podcast brought to you by First Farmers Bank and Trust, proudly serving local farms, families, and agribusiness for over 135 years. Visit them online, ffbt.com, to learn more. I'm Andy Eubank. Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin is here too with the updated Indiana farm forecast. A couple of dry days in all likelihood before a cold front later this week. And a review of yesterday's markets. Mixed. John Zanker has analysis. The news is next here on the Hat Morning Podcast.
The land of the free is also the home of the hardworking. What if this is the year you take your farm operation to the next level? At First Farmers Bank and Trust, we're proud to serve the people who not only work until the sun goes down, but until the job is done. With over 135 years of commitment to agriculture, we'll find the solution that's right for your operation today and tomorrow. Visit ffbt.com to learn more. First Farmers Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Corn yields remain impressive in southern Indiana and what the passage of the infrastructure bill means for agriculture. I'm Eric Pfeiffer, and this is Hoosier Ag Today. Farmers finally got back in the field last week after excessive rainfall put an extended pause on harvest. In this Beck's yield check from southern Indiana, Beck's agronomist Travis Coleman says corn yields remain impressive.
I think a lot of guys are happy with their corn. If there's any frustration or maybe some current concerns with those yields, we look back at nitrogen program and probably rainfall and probably can connect the dots there.
Coleman says there are a couple of Beck's hybrids in particular that have performed well this season in their plots.
Last week we had a plot come off in Warwick County in 6774 and 6374 from the same family. Both yielded very well, one at 230 and one at 219.
After a growing season full of doubt for soybean yields have been surprising in southern Indiana. There are some issues, though, with later planted soybeans.
We talk about some deck T stem borer and maybe 3 or 4 different pathogens, viruses that have kind of come in and maybe compounded a little bit of yield on some of our later planted soybeans.
Coleman adds wheat planting in southern Indiana is pretty well done, and fall herbicide applications will be closing in on complete here quickly. This yield check has been presented by Beck's. They're dedicated to serving a community of farmers who love what they do and are proud to be farmers at heart. Learn more at beckshybrids.com. The House passed an over $1 trillion infrastructure bill Friday night by a vote of 228 to 206. The bill now heads to President Biden for his signature. Mike Steenhoek, executive director of the Soy Transportation Coalition, says they're very pleased with the passage of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act.
We anticipate that there will be some new bridges constructed in rural areas. We anticipate that there'll be some meaningful improvements to our locks and dams, and we'll be able to trace that to this piece of legislation. So we're very pleased.
For agriculture, one of the highlights of the bill is the $110 billion allocated to roads and bridges.
A percentage of that will be allocated to the rural network. And that was a long time concern for us, is that we wanted to make sure that anything we do is not just impacting and addressing the needs of urban America, but also the needs of rural America. And so we're happy that there is that specific language that rural areas need to be addressed as well.
Steenhoek adds the $17 billion set aside for ports and inland waterways is critical.
As we know, in agriculture, a lot of our freight gets transported via barge, and it's a very cost-effective way of moving heavy freight long distances at an economical price point. It's really one of the secrets to our success as an industry. And so the fact that there was some funding being allocated for improving our locks and dams, improving our port regions, that's really critical as well.
Also in the legislation is language promoting an additional marketing opportunity for U.S. soybean farmers.
One of the initiatives that we've been working on and that the Indiana Soybean Alliance has been a real leader on is the promotion of a soy-based concrete enhancer that can elongate the life of a road or a bridge once you apply it, because it'll provide greater resistance against water or salt incursion. And so not only does it increase the life of the asset itself, whether a road or bridge, but it also does it in an environmentally sustainable way.
In addition to transportation updates, the bill also touts $65 billion in funding for high-speed internet. Many other farm groups are applauding the bill's passage as well. You can read more on that at HoosierAgToday.com. I'm Eric Pfeiffer, Hoosier Ag Today, Indiana's Farm Network.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin with Hoosier Ag Today's Indiana Farm Forecast, brought to you by Seed Genetics Direct, the Eastern Corn Belt's fastest growing independent seed company. Visit seedgeneticsdirect.com to get your seed guide with pricing. So we're seeing some cloud cover try and work across the Hoosier State here on your Tuesday, starting with sunshine, but the clouds will materialize midday and afternoon. I think they linger into the evening. Now, do I think the clouds give us anything? No, I don't. Will I say absolutely beyond a shadow of a doubt we see nothing? No, I won't. You could see a pop-up or renegade shower in one or two spots, but this is not a little wave that is going to do much of anything for us. I think we're fully dry for Wednesday and warm. Actually, we're warm today and tomorrow. Maybe not quite as warm as yesterday, but still well above normal. Our cold front arrives Thursday morning in western tier counties, midday in the central part of the state, afternoon in the east. And we're looking at rain totals right now, likely anywhere from a tenth to half an inch across the state. 100% coverage. Much colder air works in for Friday. I don't think we see much precipitation at all for Friday, just clouds and the colder air. But then wraparound moisture tries to sneak through off and on through Saturday and Sunday. I believe the best moisture probably comes in here on Sunday, where we could see a few hundreds to a few tenths and coverage around 80% of Indiana. Monday, still dealing with wraparound and cold air, plenty of clouds, maybe some lingering showers. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week, mostly dry, but Thursday night into Friday, another frontal boundary comes in and gives us a good shot at moisture. Once again, probably half an inch or less, but it does mean that we're going to have to be pushing the pause button, or at least the stop and start button, on field work and harvest once again from later this week right on through next week. Temperatures are going to be up and down as well. We're very chilly as we finish out this week and go into the weekend. Rest assured, I'm not calling for snow. I think we'll see some lake effect precipitation trying to come together. But in terms of widespread sloppy wet snow, I'm not there yet. We'll see if anything changes my mind in the days ahead. But we're also then seeing temperatures climb to the same levels or maybe slightly cooler levels next week that we're seeing right now. That's a look at your forecast update. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Weakness in soybeans continues as the trade gets set for the USDA supply and demand update on Tuesday. This is Hoosier Ag Today's Monday Farm Market Review. I'm Andy Eubank. The review is brought to you by Co-Alliance Cooperative, your local agriculture and energy partner for nearly a century. Settlements on the way, first market analysis, and I got that at the end of Monday Trade with John Zanker, Risk Management Commodities. John, we get quiet corn and wheat markets, not unusual of late, and more liquidation in soybeans just ahead of that Tuesday USDA supply and demand update. So let's start with soybeans and what might be happening there. Is it continuing concern about next year and acres being shifted over to beans?
Well, it's a little more than that. You know, we've been talking for several months really about our lack of export sales, and then shipments had been slow to get started, and we are now picking up. In fact, we had a good week. This week we had 97.3 million, so that's good in any year, and they raised the last 2 weeks, so that pace is starting to pick up as a lot of harvested beans are hitting the Gulf, and we've gotten those facilities fixed down there from the hurricanes. So we're seeing that pick up, but we're way behind. And good example here. The best example is China. At this time a year ago, they'd already shipped 527.3 million beans. And this year they're at 343.4. So it's more than just that Gulf being shut down. We have a problem with sales. Sales are behind 585 million versus last year. So crush is starting to pick up, but it was poor. It was a lot weaker than we thought through late spring and early summer. Yields have been turning out better than expected. We're hearing some exceptional double crop yields over in Illinois, and then over on the East Coast as well. So the trade's expecting 51.9 on the soybean yield tomorrow. That's where we are. But I'm not sure that's going to be the highest yield that we see, Andy. We have lost some bushels here at the tail end in the eastern Corn Belt due to this wet ending to harvest, but I think we could end up as high as 52.5. So the trade's a little spooked by that, and we're struggling here as we talk. We're down 14 cents.
Also an expectation, though, that corn yield will climb just a bit as well.
Yeah, the average trade guess is 176.9, so that's going to be up a half a bushel or so. I would agree with that. It might go higher. Marquette, formerly Informa, they're as high as 178.7, StoneX at 177. So there are some ideas that it could be better. I wouldn't be shocked if we go over 177 tomorrow. And, going back to your original question, which I didn't fully answer, I think there is definitely concern that we're going to increase soybean acres next spring. And I do still believe that the corn acreage reduction is going to be bigger than what the trade is expecting right now.
Thoughts about wheat futures, John, and what USDA might have to say on that market, which overall has been pretty solid?
Yeah, we're showing showing a little black on the screen today. As we're speaking here, we got the December up a penny and July up a penny and a quarter. So that's not all that sensational, but it looks pretty good versus corn and soybeans. So we have that going for us. I think we just have a good, strong domestic market. Our exports have been terrible. This is a year where we would have thought that our export pace would be better, but it's actually a week ago. We had the worst export shipment week in the last 38 years. So I'm a little concerned that we could be topping out in here if we don't get some help in some other areas. July at 775, that's a pretty good value for anybody that needs to price some new crop wheat. It could certainly go higher. Spring harvest wheat, so the September contract, spring wheat at 854. So I suspect we have some people with Chicago wheat to price that are looking at what's going on in Minneapolis and thinking, hey, maybe we'll get Chicago wheat up there eventually.
John Zanker at Risk Management Commodities. The number there, 866-837-9027. On the Hat Monday market review, down in corn. December dipped a penny and a half, 551.5. March down to 561, off a penny and a quarter. And May down a penny and a quarter, 566. 14 and a quarter lower Novi beans, 1178 at the end. January settles at 1188.5, losing 17 cents. March down almost 17 cents, and a penny and a half up December and March wheat. December going to 768. Livestock mixed, up 30 on December live cattle, 132.10, and December lean hogs, 76.37, 17 cents lower. I'm Andy Eubank with the Monday Review. This is Hoosier Ag Today, Indiana's leading farm network.